in immigration law, the problem is that here you are, you're here illegally, you're working illegally, but there's no way, having violated the law, for you to pay your debt to society and move on. The law says your presence is a continuing violation of the law, and there's nothing you can do to fix it. And the only way to remedy this continuing violation of the law is to pick you up and deport you. Now, deportation is not a penalty. It's not a punishment. It certainly is perceived as one, and certainly affects one profoundly like a punishment. But technically, legally, it's not a punishment. It is fixing a situation that is not supposed to be. So what the Senate was proposing back in 2006 was to fix these two problems with the law. They were going to create, first of all, visas for these people in the intermediate areas. They were going to limit the number of visas to what the economy really needs. Number one. So now there was going to be a way for people to come here. There was going to be a way for Jacques Pierre to come and cut lawns in Darien and do so legally with a temporary visa. And when he's finished cutting lawns, get out of here. Okay? That was fix number one. Fix number two was, for the 12 million who are already here, the Senate recognized you can't just give them green cards. They violated the law. You have to have some sort of consequence. Okay? So the consequence was going to be, A, they would have to pay a number of fines, several thousands of dollars, number one. Number two, they would not get a green card. They would get a blue card, which is like pre-kindergarten, nursery school, okay? And if they kept their nose real clean during the blue card period, be it 3 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. And also, everybody with a blue card, because there are people who do have a way to come here legally because they have a family member, okay? And a lot of those people have been in line for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years waiting. Their family member sponsored them 20 years ago. They've been waiting in line all this time, and they're this far away from that last step in being able to come here, okay? So there's a recognition that it's unfair that somebody else can cut in line. So the idea is they get their blue card, then there's a penalty period. On top of the penalty period is they have to wait until everybody in line goes through the line. Then, if they kept their nose clean, didn't break the law, paid their taxes, showed good moral character, they could graduate from blue card to green card. Then go through a number of years more, keeping their nose clean, paying their taxes, not getting arrested, and showing good moral character, learning English, history, civics, and the rest of it. It's amazing. A lot of these immigrants know far more about the Constitution and the form of government of the United States than Americans born here. They're paying attention. A lot of us, when we were in high school, maybe we didn't pay so much attention. And then going through so they have two ugly duckling stage: blue period, green cardville, and then finally, if they've been dotting their I's and crossing their T's, they can get their citizenship. So that's what the Senate proposed back in 2006, and the whole thing fell apart. So we're stuck in this situation where, it's been going on since 1996. There's essentially no way for people to come here legally to do those jobs. Once they come here illegally, to get a green card, you have to leave. If you leave, you can't get a green card. Now, there's exceptions to every single thing I said. It's the law, right? There's loopholes here and there. All right? So I know every single one of you knows somebody. Well, wait a minute, the guy I know. All right? Well, that's one of those loopholes. I'm telling you, for out of 100 people, 90 of them, they don't even have a family member or an employer or potential employers ready to sponsor them. The other 10, one of them fits into one of those loopholes, and 9 of them, nothing they can do. Leave to get a green card, you gotta leave. If you leave, you can't get a green card. So, myths and legends. All right, question. Illegal immigrants, those 12 million, not quite, I just wanted to make another point or two. Those 12 million undocumented immigrants, are they paying taxes or are they not paying taxes? Are they making cash and they're not paying taxes, or are they in some way paying taxes? Let's have a show of hands. How many people say they are paying taxes? How many people say they're not paying taxes? Okay, don't take it from me. IRS says 75% of them are paying taxes. I believe that's in the materials I gave you with a citation to the IRS report. Okay? 75% of them are paying taxes. A bunch of them are paying taxes on borrowed Social Security numbers and made up Social Security numbers. A bunch of them are paying taxes using the taxpayer identification number, which was created for Saudi Arabians who never set foot in the United States but have huge investments, have a lot of income, and need to have a way to pay taxes. Okay? So IRS says 75% of them are paying taxes. Now, how many of us here say that the immigrant who's living here, renting an apartment, buying food, buying clothes, using transportation, how many of us here say, with reference to state sales tax, with reference to the taxes every time you buy something in the state of Connecticut, how many people say they are not paying state sales tax? Right. Every single one of them is paying state sales tax every time they turn around. How about local taxes, property taxes? Now, a very small percentage of undocumented immigrants, maybe 0.5%, 1%, do own their own houses. They started up their own landscaping company, they built up enough money, and they were able to pay cash down or get a very small or risky mortgage or whatever it is. But 99.5% of them are renting, okay? Are they paying local, getting there, are they paying property taxes in Darien where they live, in Stanford where they live, etc.? How many people say yes? Okay. Except for the guy living under the bridge, which is about 1% of them. The other 98.5% of them are renting from a landlord. And if they weren't renting from the landlord, that landlord would not have the money to pay local taxes. So they are paying federal taxes, state taxes, local taxes. And they are 4% of the population. What happens if, Congress and immigration wave their wand and they're all deported? Okay, so, I don't know, I think there were some other points I wanted to make, but why don't we take a few questions? I'm sure those will remind me.
You said there were two problems. The third one is Congress. Who's telling them, other than lobbyists, who's telling them how to handle it? Because nothing gets done. There's progress in Congress. Pro and con.
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion on this, okay? We have a certain portion of the American population that's very pro-immigrant, let's let them legalize and the rest of it, at one extreme. At the other extreme, we have some really wild and crazy folks who go who they're on their vacations. They take their camping trailers and their shotguns, and they hang out on the border. I mean, we got some real wild folks there. And in between, you have the whole spectrum, all right? You have unions. Well, first of all, you have industry. You have hotels, landscaping, all the places, restaurants, etc. All those associations are permanently lobbying Congress to have visas so people can come and work for them, okay? But counterbalancing that is a certain percentage of the population that just hates people who are different. Other percent of the population who are concerned about immigrants for various different reasons. And then you have some unions that say, we don't want them because it's going to undercut our rates. But then you also have other unions that are in favor of both legalizing and permitting people to come in legally. I mean, okay. So you have, you have this whole seesaw. Now, I believe that if it were not for the leadership of the Republican Party, which of course no longer is the majority in either house, but at that time it was, the leadership of the Republican Party was extremely against any sort of legalization for anybody. They were the ones who pushed for felonizing the guy cutting your lawn. I don't know if it was going to be an additional crime for each blade of grass, but okay. So the leadership was absolutely against it, and they were cracking the whip really hard on the moderates. And if it weren't for that, we would have had some sort of immigration reform, where there would have been a way set up for people that would be able to come, and then there would have been a way for people to pay their debt to society over here, and then move on with their lives. So, you have these countervailing forces. Now, when the Democrats are in power, the Democrats are very concerned about the biggest and most powerful unions.